Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Monkey Caviar Podcast Network. This is Where's Carl? I'm Tiny, your host. That's Adam Levy. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you been?
I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm alive, and that is more than we could say than last week. Oh, excuse me. Got a little frog in my throat to get go.
It happens.
We're gonna have a great show tonight. Already off. Yeah, we had a little bit of a health concern, but we're all right. We're back. We're out of the hospital.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear you're doing better.
Feeling a-okay. There was a funny bit that happened in the hospital. The doctor said, you're gonna have to change a few things about your life because I'm grossly unhealthy. And I was like, all right, and he's like, you're going to have to quit smoking. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll try. 5 days. Good. Doing good.
Congrats.
Thanks. And he's like, you're going to have to lose like 40 pounds. And I'm like, 40 pounds? Come on, dude. I'm like, I need to lose like 100 pounds. And he goes, yeah, I was trying to be nice. And I was like, well, that's when I knew my doctor was cool. And,
nice.
So then he goes to reiterate these things to my girl when she's there. And she's like, he needs to quit smoking and he needs to eat better and he needs to lose like 120 pounds. And I was like, hey, man, you said 100. I was like, no, you said 40. And now it's 120. You're getting awfully specific. So we have me and the girlfriend have made the 100 pounds for 1 year challenge.
Good.
I'm going to try and cop to the challenge and see if I can take some money home from my lady. But that's not really what it's about, I suppose.
No, but incentive never hurts.
Yeah, incentive never hurts. And like, I want to cruise. Like, if I'm going to lose 100 pounds, I'm going to look good. So
you're going to flaunt it, man.
Right. So show me off. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you. My next birthday will be 50. So it would be interesting to be in the best shape of my life at 50.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can
I'm quickly approaching 40, so.
Dude, fix your shit. I'm just saying it now.
Trust me, it's
really hard.
I want to. Finding the motivation at this point has been a bit of a challenge. But
I understand, but you got to. I too am in the same boat. I eat like shit. I now have this low sodium diet, and it's gonna be interesting. We'll see what happens. Anyways, let's talk about The Walking Dead because I'm tired of talking about me.
Let's go.
All right, so the episode that I missed because the hospital. Hey, guess what? It sucked. Nothing.
That
good
seems to be the kind of
Stradivarius.
consensus this season, though.
Stradivarius was a horrible episode. It did nothing to move the story forward. All it taught us is that Daryl Dixon knows how to name a dog. That's really my biggest takeaway from it was the dog's name was Dog.
The only thing that moved forward was the group of people moving from Alexandria to Hilltop. That was the only moving in that episode.
Right, the 5 randos. That's what they they're just because they're randoms. 2 of them will die before we ever get to know them, so I don't care. I think Dan Fogler might make it a while, so I like Luke a little bit because he's in this.
Yeah, I hope Dan Fogler makes it. I like him. He's a funny guy,
but he's also just did Fantastic Beasts. He's kind of a big deal. And,
true.
He might just be a half a season kind of guy.
That's entirely possible.
We shall see. But I like him as a character, and I think Magda will stick around with her tattooed chest. But the one of the 2 deaf girls is gone. I'm telling you soon. One of those 2 is gone.
The one with the slingshot.
Yeah, probably. And well, no, they're going to keep the one because they showed Carol showing a little sign language skills. So they're going to get rid of the interpreter. That's the one that's going to go. So bye for her. And then the Asian one, she's toast. She's done.
Yeah,
They had a
probably. I can see
buddy.
that.
They had a buddy Bernie who apparently was a weekend at Bernie's, but he was already a walker. But he had the fly Bernie shirt on, like
Yeah, yeah, he did.
he was like kind of doing the weekend at Bernie's, and I was like,
All they needed was
that's
the samba music, and it would have been perfect.
if they'd have put some sunglasses on that walker, I would have shit my pants. Oh, it would have been so funny.
We need to remake a weekend at Bernie's where Bernie's actually a zombie.
Just
that would be awesome.
He's an actual walker. That would be sweet. What else happened in that episode?
Michonne dices the Stradivarius.
Well, yeah. Hey, how's it going in the chat room? Oh, yeah. She dices the Stradivarius, but that's just because she's not a music fan.
Yeah. Then she's completely untrusting of anybody, apparently.
All right. We know something has gone down. In between.
Yeah, in the 6 year, in last night's episode, we picked up a lot of unspoken cues. There was some stuff that was said, but for the most part, there's a lot of unspoken stuff that just leads you to believe that the problem with the communities right now is purely Michonne. It sounds like she is the problem.
It's something that has happened where I think Zeke asked for something that she couldn't deliver, or she felt like she couldn't deliver.
But I mean, from the interactions,
that
somebody laughing in the background.
Of where?
My house. My microphone picks up pretty much everything.
Wow, that was crazy. We're haunted.
That's my niece.
Go ahead.
The reception she got when they got to Hilltop was pretty icy, and the reception from Carol was just as icy. So there's two different communities right there that seem to have problems with Michonne. They didn't have a problem with Sadiq. They didn't have a problem with anybody else, but they had a problem with Michonne.
All right. Well, maybe Michonne may have gone off the deep end a little after Rick died.
And there was a scene from the upcoming episodes of the second half of the season that just kind of even cemented that a little bit more, where somebody's asking about helping out the kingdom, and Michonne's like, no. And he's like, well, what happens if the kingdom falls? And she says, well, we survive.
Yeah, well, that's true a little bit.
So, I mean, Michonne, at this point in the comic books, if I remember correctly, all the three communities were working together. They were striving. They were three pieces that were codependently existing, helping each other out. We're not getting that this season. Everyone seems to be out for themselves. Hilltop and the Kingdom seem to be doing okay with each other, but Alexandria is like the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, Kirkman was on Talking Dead and was talking about how he's kind of interested because in the comics, the three of them are very much working together, and in this, they're very much not. So it's a very
there were a few things in this episode, or from upcoming episodes, that seem to stray from the comic book a bit, as far as some of the characters that are like, this part especially, the communities at odds with each other. But Negan's got some interesting stuff coming up that looks very different from the comic books.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm excited that he. I can skip ahead because it's our show and we can talk about whatever we want. He got out, man. He flew the coop. He got paroled by Gabriel because Gabriel doesn't have his shit together.
I mean, I'm glad to see that Negan is still that same kind of asshole where he just likes to push people's buttons.
He likes to talk about like shit molecules going up your nose.
That was a great conversation. I mean, well, in the scheme of things, that is classic Negan. From the time they introduced him on the show, this is the kind of shit you'd expect to hear him talking about.
Right.
And they did not disappoint.
No,
there's been a lack of Negan this season so far, and to finally see him get some more screen time, to see him get to talk and be the Negan that we remember. Because the last time we really saw Negan was when Maggie went down there and he was begging for his life.
Right.
We saw a little bit of him with Judith in the first episode after Rick left. And, he was kind of back to the old Negan. But this is like the old Negan.
So, funny thing about Maggie, they did a big bit on the Talking Dead about how, that was her last episode. She's done. But her story's not finished. However, she's done, and they said, that's just how it happened, and no big deal. And I was like, wow, that was kind of a really shitty send off for Maggie Grace or for Lauren Cohen.
Well, here I read
Lauren
something a
Cohen.
couple days ago that apparently Angela Kang is already, talking about Maggie coming back next season.
Oh, well, there you go. See, who
Well,
knows?
so from what she was saying is that they've been texting her, and Angela Kang and Lauren Cohen have been texting and talking about the stuff, and Angela Kang's already plotting out storylines that involve Maggie. No confirmation as to whether or not she'll actually be back, if her show's been picked up, if it's going to continue, whatever. But she's already, going ahead as if Maggie will be back.
All right. Well, okay. I'm down.
Yeah, if they
Like
want
I
to bring her
said,
back, that's great.
there are things that are happening now that I'm very interested in, and I think this was a great mid-season finale. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
I am excited.
the ratings have been steadily plummeting, and the show hasn't been picked up for a 10th season yet. But I'm pretty sure it's a matter of time before they actually announce it.
I'm sure, and
They're not
this
giving up on the
I
show
mean,
just yet.
look, I'm in now. I think this set me up almost as good as the gang in front of Negan. I'm way more excited about the future with the Whisperers than I am any future with Rick.
Yeah,
So this is
yeah. I
very
mean,
cool.
especially finally getting to see the Whisperers and see them in action. You know, I knew what they were, and I knew about them, but to finally see it. I mean, for the last couple episodes, we've heard just them whispering, but to actually see them in action this episode, that was great.
Now you're fighting hordes of zombies that could be fighting back, and
Yeah,
that makes it so much more difficult.
yeah.
Like you can't just walk up and stab anymore. You have to really be sure. And I cannot wait until the first time I get to see Ryan Hurst rip a zombie face off of his own. Oh my god, that's gonna be so great.
Well, apparently in the teaser we saw a brief glimpse of Beta.
Oh, did we?
It
I
did. I
I
mean,
don't
he
know
was
that
wearing
I
a
saw
mask,
that.
so he was wearing a mask, but somebody posted on one of the groups that the still of that shot and said that was Beta.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I
And
can't
he's got
wait.
long hair and a big beard, so I mean, I could see that being Ryan Hurst.
The whispers reminded me of the others from Lost. Yeah, I got the same feeling when you finally saw Beta look stupid. Oh, how dare you? How dare you? I know I feel what you're saying about the others on Lost. When the others on Lost first arrived, it was a big deal. It changed Lost. So the Whispers is definitely going to change The Walking Dead, and
Yeah.
I can't wait for this alleged fair. That I man, it's good. It's Monsters of the Midway on that fair.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's I mean that's the thing. One of the things about the show that and the book itself in general is the threats got to keep escalating because you can't just keep fighting the same thing. I mean, in the beginning it was the zombies, then it became the human threats, and each one kind of got progressively worse with the governor leading into Negan, and now with the walkers, the
Cyclops.
whispers, you've definitely stepped it up a notch. You've got to make the threat real, and by fighting an enemy that you're not quite sure if they're there or not, that's really going to make it difficult.
I just think the psychosis of this group is worth checking into because something has to drive a whole group to put on zombie skin.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, but to look at it, it's a brilliant idea because they can move easily, slowly, but not only that, but they can move a zombie herd. They can get an
apparently,
entire herd to follow them around.
apparently, they're skilled shepherds, as it were.
Pretty much,
Um,
yeah.
I like that Daryl had a whole accoutrement of things to lure herds away. Like he
The
had like
alarm
he had
clock.
alarm clocks, he had fireworks, he had all kinds of cuckoo stuff, and
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
Not forget
But that's
dog.
Daryl, though. I mean, Daryl's a street smart kind of guy.
I want a dog pop toy so bad.
Give it time. Give it time.
in the chat, they want to know if they're gonna touch on the rape aspect or tiptoe around it. I'm gonna guess they're gonna tiptoe around that kind of shit. I don't think they're gonna
What rape?
There's some whisper raping that happens.
Oh,
so
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the show doesn't seem to shy away from these kind of subjects, but the fact that they completely cut that out of the governor storyline makes me think that they might keep that out of this, because it's unless it's absolutely essential for the story, I don't see any need to put something like that in there.
And that's why we've never had a kid get his teeth kicked in.
Despite our wanting them.
If we had one courtesy, just kid head stomp, we'd be great. But no.
The closest we get is looking at the flowers.
Well, Jesus kind of did it in this episode. He was close. That was the close to a curb stomp I've seen. He stomped that walker.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I was like, that's a Judith level kill right there.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you get to see Jesus in action like that, I mean, you know, we've only seen a handful of fight scenes where Jesus really got to cut loose. You know, when the saviors came to Hilltop and they were fighting, and like Jesus is like, you know, parkouring off the trailers and shit, kicking people in the face. I mean, that kind of stuff was pretty awesome, but we never really got to see a lot of Jesus in action.
I love Kung Fu Jesus.
Kung Fu Jesus kicks ass.
He is the Jesus that I pray to at my Thanksgiving dinner. I like to picture him as Tom Paine, and yeah.
I mean, he really does look like, you know, like what the people think Jesus looks like. He does have that look. I mean,
if you're American.
Yeah, true. I like what was one of the kids said, like, you know, oh, their leader's name the leader calls himself Jesus. What is this? What kind of cult is this?
Yeah, it's a cult. No, it's not a cult. He just looks like Jesus. That's all. What would you call the guy? I mean,
Herbert.
Look at him. Look at him, Herb. Hey, Herb. What's up, Herb? No, he doesn't look like a Herb. He looks like a Jesus.
He looks like a Jesus.
I can't believe they killed Jesus. Yeah, you're right. I can't believe they killed Jesus either. Jesus, we hardly knew you. First of all, we wanted to see some guy on guy action with Jesus and Daryl. Never got that.
Yeah, I didn't think we were gonna get that one. Not outside of like the hentai fan fiction stuff, you know.
Whatever. So the question comes up. Now Aaron and Jesus go rolling around, and they call it training, but they were rolling around in a field together. And you got to wonder, in 6 years, maybe Aaron and Jesus kind of hooked up.
Well, from what you were saying about Talking Dead, you know, I'm more inclined to agree to believe that now.
Yeah. Tom Paine says over 6 years, yeah, probably they hooked up. I mean, it's two gay dudes in the apocalypse. What are you going to do? So, yeah.
Aaron, maybe Jesus has a thing for metal prosthetic arms.
Maybe. Well, maybe that is Lucille. Wouldn't that be a kicker if Aaron's mechanical arm is actually Lucille?
Well, if you feel like the hand popped out and like Lucille actually extended from the arm, it's just like a whole, you know.
So Russ Marquand, the guy that plays Aaron, was on Talking Dead, and they were talking about the arm.
I saw bits and pieces of it, but yeah, I didn't. I saw a few minutes here and there.
Talking about that, and the arm apparently was originated for a different character, and I was like, oh, maybe they one time thought about cutting Rick's arm off. That would have been great, but they never did. But I like that he's mechanical and that he uses it to shield a walker bite.
I mean, yeah, it's perfect. I mean, Merle did the same thing. I mean, with his little metal prosthetic arm. I mean, it's a perfect thing because you can get right up in the zombie's grill and not have to worry about getting bit.
Yeah, it's awesome. I dig it. I was a big fan of Bionic Aaron. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, it's the same reason why like the people at Kingdom wear like their little body armor suits. I mean, I don't know how sturdy those are, but like it looks like they're wearing like, you know, catcher's outfits, but you know, it does offer some kind of protection.
Jesus' armor didn't help him.
Armor of faith does not protect from stab wounds.
I'm sorry, that was armor class -6. He got stabbed right in the ribs.
Yeah.
It's no good.
But that scene itself was amazing.
It was.
I mean,
And it was
just for the pure like holy shit moment that it was, especially for people that don't know the story of the Whisperers, that are just experiencing this for the first time, to see, you know, when you hear the zombies talking, these Whisperers, you know, yeah, you might be thinking, is something going on? Are these creatures evolving? But to see that one just duck under Jesus's blow and grab him and stab him, I mean, that was just that was just like a wow, this is, a real threat, just to see something like this happen. It was completely unexpected. Obviously none of that group would have ever predicted something like this happening, especially considering how, the Whispers move just like zombies until they need to get faster.
Okay. And here, my thing about this is, do you think I had a little bit of trouble with the ending of the episode? Because one, right after that happens, when the walker ducks and stabs Jesus, and that was a clean kill shot. So no, I ain't worried about how fast he died. Once he dies, if you end the episode right there, you're on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But instead, they go forward for another, 5 minutes of Daryl pulling the mask off, and we realize.
Well, not just that, but they killed a handful more of these Whisperers.
But does it give us now more that we're into the Whisperers that much more because we got those extra 5 minutes, or would it have been better to go through the next 6 to 8, 10 weeks, whatever we got until the 14th of February or 10th of February?
I think,
I
think giving us that little bit more to reveal what these things are, especially after killing off a character like Jesus that a lot of people liked, to give us the fact that these aren't zombies, that they're people wearing zombie masks. I think that, especially, when they made you wait half a year for the reveal of who Negan was, after just seeing boots and a bat coming down, I think cliffhangers are good. And they did kind of leave it on a cliffhanger with the group being surrounded by more walkers and Whisperers. Although we know they're all going to survive because the previews for the next episode show them all, getting back. But I think giving the audience that little bit of information as to what this group actually is, for some, it might make them, anxious for the more episodes to see, like, okay, crap, we've got humans dressed as zombies going around hunting people down. If they made you wait a few months to figure out what these, are these evolved zombies, or is there something else going on? With the way things have been lately, the ratings dropping as they have been, I think that they needed to give the audience something.
All right, I think I'm with you. I'm playing an advocate here. I wanted to pick a side.
Oh, I understand. I mean, I know that's what we do. We discuss these from different angles.
There couldn't have been. There wasn't a way to end it right there. It would have been awesome, but at the same time, yeah, it would have pissed people off. But no, you're right. To get the viewers back, we needed more story, and that story is going to be the Whispers. And thank God that it now looks like that. Actually, that whole scene in the cemetery looked like an actual horror film. Like it had the horror element of The Walking Dead was back for that moment. And that's a thing that hasn't been there for like 5 seasons, really.
No, and
the horror aspect has been very much not a part of it.
And one of the bits I did see from Talking Dead is Robert Kirkman saying that, the next half of the season feels very much like a horror movie. There is a lot of horror elements in the next 8 episodes coming up that's kind of getting back to, to the core. Although, to be fair, the comic book itself wasn't really meant to be a horror story. It was, the survivor story living in this post-apocalyptic world. But you figure if there's a zombie element to the story, that there is going to be some horror to it. And, like you said, there was a very much a horror feel to that cemetery scene, and it was great. I mean, you definitely felt the tension of this group being surrounded, being stuck. Jesus gonna sacrifice himself so they could get away. You had all your classic horror elements there, and it was amazing.
When was the last time you were afraid of a field of walkers?
Yeah, I can tell you.
Like, I mean, it had gotten to the point where even a horde of 200 walkers was looked at as kind of a nuisance more than anything else. There was nothing scary about it.
The last time I think anybody was afraid of a horde like that was when the first time they saw the hordes, when the horde descended upon Alexandria. The first time we saw a group of walkers that large outside of Atlanta in the first couple episodes. That was the last time there was that a herd that size was kind of a threat. Now it's just okay, we can herd this group, throw some sound that way and lead them off this way, and boom, problem solved.
Right. And
but now the horde is a threat again.
Yeah, I like the idea that Eugene had, that they had evolved. They have brains, that the brains still fire. So if the brains are still firing, then they can evolve. They can become better. They're learning how to track. This is not the case, of course.
No, of course.
Undead,
But yeah, I mean, and the Whispers, they found a way to weaponize zombies essentially.
Right. So so we have to find out how they got this. I don't want to say control, but they do to a certain point. Like, you can see the herd will follow the sound, but then they can quickly divert that herd back to where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
And like I said, Eugene said they were coming back and forth. They were like they were doing what do they call like grid work, like trying to find him.
Yeah, he said the herd had come back 2 times to that barn he was hiding out in, and that's something that they shouldn't have done. You've never seen a herd circle back or double back on itself.
Right, and then even in the beginning of the finale, they show the herd standing in the middle of the field, just walking around in circles.
Yeah.
Now, is that whisper controlled? Is there?
I think to an extent. I mean, it doesn't seem to be that difficult to get the herd's attention. So as long as they can, find a way to keep it, and if they're moving along with the herd, the herd's going to follow in that direction, from whatever sound they're hearing. So it's just somehow, I'm guessing it's just some kind of sound that they're kind of keeping up to keep the herd moving with them. Or usually it's once a herd starts moving, it's going to keep moving in that direction until something causes it to change course. And as long as the Whispers can get it to change course, that's all they really need to do.
Right. It's momentum. You can't stop momentum.
Exactly.
It's going forward. So let's talk about a free and wicked Negan and what that means to Alexandria. They showed a clip on Talking Dead.
I saw that clip,
of Negan going up into Judith's room with the shovel. I don't think he's going up there to dig a hole.
No.
I don't think he's going up there to kill Judith.
Was it Judith's room or was it Michonne's room?
I believe it was Judith's, because it might have been RJ's room.
Maybe.
Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick, sorry. RJ. Pickle Rick, that little fucker.
They didn't quite know whose room it was, but I mean, I thought it was Michonne's because it looked like she had a big bed in there. So I figured it might have been.
There was a kid drawing on the wall. It could have been Michonne. And that's fine. He's not going to kill Michonne.
And the fact that in the middle of the night that there was nobody in the bed, because we know Michonne's still in Hilltop at this point, so that kind of made me think that it was Michonne's room and not one of the kids.
So Kirkman, of course, in the comic book, when Negan gets out of his cell, he goes back in and locks himself back in as a show of good grace. I don't know what Negan we have now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that he's out, he's armed with a shovel, and he's going into somebody's house, and then one of the scenes for the next half season is you hear him doing his little whistle thing, and he walks into Sanctuary.
Oh,
so he looks like he's going back to find his people. He doesn't know that Sanctuary is no more, as far as we know, but it seems like the Negan we're getting is a return to the old Negan.
I hope so.
And
I want Negan. I don't want Negan to replace Rick.
No, no,
That's
no.
what
I can't
don't
see that ever
want.
happening.
I don't want anyone to ever look at Negan as a leader. He has to be looked at as scourge and scum, and
But you know,
that's what I need him to
if
be.
if he could, at least find a way to make himself useful in Alexandria. I mean, I know people don't like him, but 6 years, if he could come to some kind of redemption, still be the asshole that he is, but at least provide some benefit to the people. Because if the Whisperer story is going to
How?
play out, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if the Whisperer story plays out like it does in the comic book, even though I didn't read it, but I know kind of how it ends, you know, is is Negan going to play that part still, or is somebody else going to play that part? I mean, does
We can go any direction we want now because everything in the comic book you can say it's out, but it's gone.
yeah,
We're living in a different world now on the TV show, and it's
yeah? I mean,
very very
I don't want to
different.
see, I don't necessarily want to see Negan go back to being the guy he was. The whole point of characters is to have an arc, to evolve, to change, to do something different. And if you have Negan become the exact same character that he was before, then you're really just wasting the character and wasting the actor. You
True.
know, it's just he's not the main character, so he doesn't have to have the kind of story arc that a main character would. But in order to really tell a story, you have to give these characters an opportunity to change, whether it's good or bad. You know, you can see some of these good guys become villains eventually. You can see some of these villains turn into good guys. It's just kind of the way it goes. You need to have some kind of change in these characters, or else, having the same character around for multiple seasons just gets boring as shit.
Yeah, I just said in the chat they're talking about people we may lose next year in the next half season, and this is an impressive list: Zeke, Jerry, Gabriel, the lady with Carol, maybe Rosita, maybe all of them. Sure, why not?
They better
There's
not fucking kill Jerry.
they see they're gonna kill Jerry, and here's why: because Jerry's death is meaningful.
Yeah. Jerry will
But
throw himself in front of Ezekiel and take a bullet or take an axe or whatever.
Jerry will
Yeah,
go out like a man, and his death is going to be very meaningful in the general. And Gabriel will go out like a bitch.
probably.
Um, I don't think that's any indication. Zeke, I don't know if they're going to kill Zeke right off because I just don't. I think they're going to keep him around. I don't think they're going to do that to Carol right away.
No, I mean,
Um,
Carol's had a tough go of things since the beginning of the series, and to finally give her something good, it would suck to take that away. I mean, that the whole point of this story is that nothing is set in stone. That's even the way in real life. But when you're living in this post-apocalyptic world where you're fighting for survival on a daily basis, it's even more so.
and
But
if they're
you have to give these characters a little bit, you have to give them a little bit of of happiness here and there.
yeah, I think if they're
And I guess,
going to destroy
and
Carol again, they're going to do it in one fell swoop, and it's going to be Jerry, Ezekiel, and Henry all at
Henry.
one time.
But I'm curious as to what would happen if they took all that from Carol again. Would we see her just completely lose her shit, or would she just give up like she did in the comic book?
I don't
You
know.
know,
It would be an interesting road for that character
because
because
she's had one of the most dynamic arcs of any character on the show, going from being the meek, submissive housewife to the badass that she was, to kind of giving up on killing and going the pacifist route, to coming back and falling into a domesticated life again. She's run the gamut of all these different personalities.
right,
And
and
what's
we're
going to
all
happen
pulling
if they
for
take
her.
it all away from her again?
Hey, and we're all pulling for her. When you start pulling for somebody, that's when they pull the rug out right from under you.
Exactly. Maybe we should start pulling for Henry.
I love Henry, by the way. Um, that whole Henry's got to go. Henry's got
I
to die.
love that he was thinking he was going to get a little bit of action from Enid, and Enid just like, nope.
Man, come on. That's
Yeah.
Carl's old girl, dude. You ain't got the strap for that.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he's been away for 6 years. You think she was just saving herself for little Henry
Right?
all that time? Hell no. Dr.
she's
Eden needs some vitamin D injection, you know?
right. She's like 24 now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, give it up, buddy.
Yep.
She's a vitamin D injection. That's good. Oh, I like that. All right, who else you want to talk about?
We need to talk about Michonne.
All right, let's talk about my girl.
And as much, and I mean no disrespect in this, but Michonne is a bitch right now. Michonne seems to be the problem, with everything.
She is not the problem.
Is everybody else the problem?
Everyone else is the problem. If they would just get on board the Michonne train, everything would be fine. Just listen to her. Just follow that beautiful, beautiful booty around.
I mean, yeah, there seems to be a lot that have, I'm guessing that the 6-year time jump, I'm sure there was some stuff that happened, but for the most part, I'm going to assume that we didn't have any major threat in the 6 years, nothing like a governor or things like this. It was 6 years of rebuilding, of, minor conflicts here and there, but something had to happen in that time to cause the rift in these 3 communities that we have now. I mean, we saw a little bit of that prior to Rick leaving, but mostly it was the saviors that were kind of pushing this divide between these groups. But now there seems to be, Hilltop and and the Kingdom seem to be fine with each other, but Alexandria doesn't seem to be okay with anybody. I mean, look at the fact that we don't know how long Maggie's been gone, but nobody bothered to tell Michonne that Maggie's been gone. What does that say about her, that they needed to that they're keeping information from her?
Okay, I'll tell you what that means. That means that Tara is a horrible, horrible person. And Tara, who's running the Hilltop in Maggie's absence, is, what she's doing? She's keeping Michonne out of the loop because she's jealous. That's why.
It's been Jesus running Hilltop without Maggie.
No, it has not. Look who's pushing all the paper. It's Tara. Trust me, it's Tara.
Well, I have a feeling now Tara will become the official leader of Hilltop.
The most miserable person in Hilltop is Tara.
Yeah, I mean, look at Jesus. Jesus was living the good life, just sitting there listening to records and just kind of like, shirking responsibility.
Sure, making her do all the paperwork.
That's called delegation, man.
Damn right it is.
But yeah, I mean, I really want to know, and I'm guessing we're probably not, if we do get any of it at all, it'll be in small bits here and there. But I really want to know what happened in this 6-year period.
Oh, we're gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get it. We'll get it in the next half. There's got to be one down episode where they're going to tell us what happened 6 years ago, and then we'll be like, "Oh, okay. Thanks for that whole episode of not moving the story forward."
Yeah, because that's what they like to do on the show.
Right. That's what we'll get, and we'll all complain about it and say, "What a waste of time that was. It was just a little rift, and it didn't change all that much in the course of the general world." But they blew a whole episode on it. Good for them.
I mean, it's almost like half the season is filler episodes and half the season is actually stories. So if they wanted to just save some money and tell an 8-episode series and just cut the fucking filler out, we'd probably have a really great show.
We probably would. Ratings.
I mean, look at the BBC model, man. They run their seasons run anywhere between 4 and 12 episodes. And there's no time for filler in that kind of story.
Look, I remember a day when a season of television shows was 22 to 24 episodes.
Most of the network shows still are.
No, they're not. They're not even close.
A lot of them are still running 20 some odd episodes.
Maybe get to 20, but very few get past the 24, 26 mark. And that used to be standard. Like every show went 20 episodes.
Yeah.
So they've cut their seasons. We get 8. We don't even get 10. Most shows we even get 10. We get 8. And then they split it in half and they call it a 16-1 season. But it's really not. It's 2 seasons. Just deal with it.
Yeah.
But, if they want to do it as a split season, that's how they do it. Fine. I'm sure it's all about DVDs or whatever. Does anybody buy DVDs anymore?
I'm sure some people do.
I don't know. We've been watching. I want to get off topic here for a minute. We've been watching Game of Thrones
Nice.
because I've just been kind of laid up and not having anything to do. So
Yeah, of
to
course.
take it easy mode, I'm just gonna watch me some dragons and shit. And man, that's such a good show. They never waste fucking time. That show is crisp.
No, I mean,
Um,
yeah, when you've got a 10 episode season and you've got as much story as George R. R. Martin has provided, yeah, you can't waste time.
they do not waste time. Something crazy happens in like every episode, and at least one crazy thing happens. Where in The Walking Dead, if you get one crazy thing like Jesus dies, you're like, fuck, that's crazy. Or a walker ducks a knife, you're like, wow, that's crazy. So in this episode, we
Yeah.
got two really crazy, cool things, but we had to live through last week.
Yeah.
Last week on Game of Thrones was the Red Wedding. Like, I mean,
Oh, the
that,
Reigns of Castamere.
you understand that the Reigns of Castamere was a middle of the season episode. It wasn't even a
No,
finale.
yeah, it was like episode 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no, it's like episode 7 or 8, I think.
Oh no,
And
no, it was
then
episode 9. Because episode 9 is usually the crazy episode on Game of Thrones.
so I mean that's nuts. And
Yeah.
I started watching season 5 because I was like, I've seen the first 4 seasons. I can't tell you how many times. So I started at 5 when Jamie and Braun are all going down to Dorne, and I was
Oh,
like,
right, okay.
man, it's such a fun show. I'm really gonna miss it when it's gone.
Yeah. I can't wait for April.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to end because it's got an ending, and I want to see what they do with it.
I
Because
want George R. R. Martin to finish writing his fucking books.
well, whatever. I don't care about that. Don't. I really don't. I have them all. I'm waiting to read them. I'll read them as soon as it's over.
Yeah. So
I
maybe in
will.
about a decade.
As soon as the series is over, I'll read them because
Yeah.
I tried to like I picked up the first book when I got them. My mom got me a whole set of them for Christmas, and I tried it, and then of course every character I see in my head I see from the show,
Oh yeah.
so it's very hard for me to separate one from the other. Whereas
Well,
and
it's like
that's go ahead.
the books helped me in the fact that like watching the show, because there are so many characters, I had a hard time keeping them all straight. But as I'm reading the books and I see the names and I'm picturing the characters from the show in my head, it made it so much easier for me to remember who all these people were when I was watching the show.
All right, that's fair. I mean, I buy that in that there's way too many characters in that.
There are,
friggin'
well, I mean,
way
there's even more in the book, man.
I know, and it's craziness. Like
There are a whole shit ton of characters that never even made the show.
I've been trying to write this thing for a while that I've been working on, and I have like 40 characters, and I'm like, I have too many goddamn characters. Like I don't know what to do with this many people, and he's got thousands, and
Yeah.
it's just like who can keep track of all that?
Yeah, I mean,
Like I
when
don't have
you
the
get the stories that
whiteboard
have
space.
when you get some of these stories that have that many characters, it look like Stephen King's The Stand, when you've got a 1,600 page novel, there are going to be a lot of characters involved, and trying to keep some of them straight and write for this many characters and do them all justice. That's a lot of work, especially over one book. I mean, George R. R. Martin has 5 books, that he's been carrying these characters through. So, it's a little easier and you can get a lot more of these characters, but yeah, I mean, there are so many fucking characters.
The only thing that I will say is The Stand is one of my favorite books, and I loved the one of the things I loved and hated about it was that Stephen King would spend 30 pages giving you a character and then just kill him.
Oh yeah,
And they were just
he's notorious for that kind of stuff.
for 30 pages. You're totally invested in this, and then they just dropped out of the flu, and you're like, well, fuck, I thought they were going to be important.
Yeah, I
But
mean, yeah,
and
he sometimes is very very liberal with the page count when it comes to some of these characters that don't mean anything to the story.
right,
And then sometimes
there
like
was a couple of
sometimes we'll spend like 3 sentences and like a character's dead.
right. There was a couple of times where I was like, he just spent like 25 pages on three different characters, 75 total in the middle of the book, and they absolutely mean nothing to the story.
Yeah.
There's just showing that these guys all die, and yeah, it's crazy. Good on him. Again, one of my
Yeah.
favorite books, but
It's a great story. I'd love to see like a good remake of that.
no, there's a bad remake of it, and it's perfect.
I
It's
mean, the original like made for TV movie with like Molly Ringwald and Gary
Molly
Sinise
Ringwald. Yes, man,
and
that's
Thomas
awesome.
Hayden Church.
Oh, and Matt Frewer is Trash Can Man.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, that was perfectly cast.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
great.
it was great, but I mean, especially with this renewed interest in Stephen King stories lately, you know, I'd love to see somebody like really give it like a big budget treatment and and really get some of the stuff that you couldn't do on TV because there's a lot of shit they had to cut out of the book out of the TV movie because it wasn't network friendly.
All right, well they'd have to do it like HBO or Stars or something. I
Yeah,
mean,
do like a good mini series.
ah, good on them. I don't know. I love that first one so much.
It was. I mean,
Like what?
it's like the original with Tim Curry. I don't care how good Alexander Skarsgård is. I'm always going to picture Tim Curry as Pennywise the clown.
All right, that's fair. That's a fair thing. I'm with you all the way. Randall Flagg is always going to be that guy. I don't know who that guy was, but that guy is always going to be Randall Flagg to me.
Yeah.
And Matt Frewer is forever Trash Can Man.
And Matt Frewer has so many great characters, though. I mean, the guy's had he's had a run.
He's got a few. How are we doing on time? We kicked ass on times considering we did 2 episodes. And
we really did 1 episode and kind of like 3 sentences on another episode.
Because it was bad.
It really was.
But I am excited. I am excited about the future.
Yeah, I mean, this mid-season finale definitely. I mean, it's not the holy shit finale that Negan was when they first introduced, the boots and the bat. Like that was a great like holy shit cliffhanger and that wasn't even a mid-season. That was the season finale. So compared to what last season's mid-season finale was when we found out that Carl was dying. I mean, that was pretty shitty. I mean, the Saviors firebombing Alexandria and all that was kind of cool. But like as the big jaw-dropping moment revealing that Carl's dying, fuck it, who cares? That didn't bother me. That wasn't like
it did in the fact that our podcast name is Where's Carl.
But to see the way like Jesus's death moved the story forward.
Agreed.
Whereas Carl's death didn't. It didn't really do anything for the story.
No, we needed to get past that to get Rick dead, or not dead, whatever. He left on a jet plane. Don't know when he's coming back again.
We know when he's coming back. He's coming back sometime in 2019.
Yeah, apparently. But we needed Rick to be gone to move the story to where it is now. I don't know how Rick plays in the comic book from here on out. This is as far as
I don't
I've
either.
ever gotten. You're saying stuff and they're reading in the chat room that's stuff I just don't know, and maybe I should read ahead in the comics and figure out what I'm doing. But I got like 10 weeks now to do that, so who knows? Maybe I'll get to it.
Yeah, I need to see if Steve has all the digital stuff, and maybe I'll go back and read the Whisper stuff and ahead and see what's coming on.
So what we got coming up here for the podcast is we are going to change to the What We Love podcast, and we're going to do that after the first of the year, and we're going to start in January. Ow! I was going to turn around and look at my calendar, but I have earplugs in. I ripped my ear out. So
that's not good.
Right after the first of the year, we're gonna do the Why We Love podcast, and I think we need to decide on what our starting 3 episodes should be of the Why We Love podcast.
Okay. Do you want to put it to the vote, like online with the friends and stuff, or just figure out ourselves?
do we want to do it? Tell you what, why don't we come up with five, and then we'll put it to I'll put up a poll and see if we can get people to choose.
Okay.
All right. The five choices. Do you want to? Do you have any you want to nominate right off the bat?
I don't have anything right off the top of my head. I was, kind of curious what you had in mind since you've clearly put some thought into
All
this.
right. The first thing I want to start out. I don't want to do like why we love Star Wars. It's too deep.
Yeah.
It's a conversation that could last too long.
Yeah, seriously.
And it's gonna need special guests.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
I want to put off the Star Wars show for a while. So,
Okay.
but I want to be thinking in that realm. So the first thing I was thinking about was let's do a character. So let's do Spider-Man.
Okay.
So why we love Spider-Man? Spider-Man, everybody loves Spider-Man. Spider-Man's easy. We can break into each. I have my favorite storylines from Spider-Man. I'm sure you have yours.
Yeah.
So Spidey is simple. We can handle that. That would be my first one I would nominate.
Okay.
Secondly, I'd like to nominate Pulp Fiction.
All right.
Because if it demands an episode.
I can see that.
Everyone loves Pulp Fiction and for various reasons. So I would like to nominate Pulp Fiction as well. Now, with that in mind, what do you got?
Well, if we're going to do a character, I got to go with one of my favorites, and I got to say Batman. I think Batman is an epic character.
I think that's big because what are we talking about here? Are we talking about cinematic Batman? Are we talking about comic book Batman?
I think we can cover all of it.
An hour?
Okay, maybe not.
I can't get through Keaton in an hour.
That's true. Okay, if we're doing that, that's comic Batman.
Comic book Batman. All right. Okay. But we'll put it up for a vote. I'm fine with that. How about a band or
a band? I don't like Boingo.
How about Oh man, that's too big. How about Bad Religion? It's like saying Bad Religion. It's too big.
It is.
You can't do that. We'll have to think about the band.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it really could be. I mean,
we need to get some guests lined up. So,
definitely.
I think we can get Biller to come on and do some stuff for this because he's.
Yeah, I mean, for the right topic, we can get Atomic on.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to do video necessarily on it, but it would be kind of fun to do it in a video chat and then cut it into an audio podcast and leave the video for something more edited, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, there's little different possibilities. Like I said, I got the month of December to really put it together. We'll figure
nice.
it out.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll get a poll up on the site soon on Spider-Man, Batman, Pulp Fiction.
I mean, that's a pretty good place. That's a pretty good trio to start with.
It is a pretty good trio to start with, but then you have to know which. I mean, Game of Thrones is right there.
Yeah.
And I am hosting a Game of Thrones viewing party for the premiere.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got virtual dragon riding and virtual sword fighting already there. That's going to be at the bar that we're doing the viewing party.
Jeez, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to have a total on the King's Tournament sword fighting, virtual reality style. And then
that's awesome.
And virtual reality dragon riding, which would be super dope.
That would be fun as hell.
We're doing it at a barbecue place, and they're gonna do a full Game of Thrones menu.
Oh jeez!
It's gonna be amazing.
It sounds like it. If I could get out there for that, I totally would.
There's definitely a costume contest. Yeah, there's gonna be prizes. It's gonna be a thing.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be righteous. So I can't wait for doing that. So yeah, I'll definitely put Game of Thrones on that list.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's see. I'm looking around like, what about Primus?
Well, I mean, if we
Ah,
want, like, I mean, we could do Why We Love Preacher. I mean, like the actual, like the comic book Preacher.
oh,
You
see, that
know,
requires me to read Preacher again, and I just don't have the time right now. Like I said, if we're gonna do this, the Why We Love is gonna require like actual
it's going to
work.
require some putting in some work. Yeah.
It's gonna require us to do more research than watching an episode of a TV show.
Oh,
And
definitely.
yeah, so I really want to. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it like I want to give it everything I got.
Well, I mean, we can put that one down the line so you have some time to reread something like that, or another suggestion would be like Why We Love Clerks.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. That's a very good one. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm all about that stuff. So yeah, something like that. Clerks, and it's not just that I'll rewatch Clerks. I got lots of Clerks shit, man. Like
Yeah.
you can see Jay and Bob are up there.
Oh
They're on
yeah.
the wall.
Yeah. All
Plum
right,
Man
so
and
yeah.
Chronic hang on the wall.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of Clerks shit. I
Oh
might
yeah.
have a I might have a box full of uh in action figures somewhere.
Yeah. I might have some in my storage space too. Yeah.
I might have a lot of those, as a matter of fact. I got some down here open. I got to go golfing down here.
Nice.
Yeah, hold on right here. And there's a shit demon. Gotta have a shit demon.
Of course. Why not?
I should put that in our bathroom.
That'd be a great place for it.
Just right on the back of the shitter. Just like every time I'm sitting there. Go golfing.
Perfect.
New logo, maybe right there. Oh, you can't see him. Oh well. Hey, how's it going? See, this was my idea of doing this show with puppets.
I remember that idea. That would have been an awesome idea.
The Walking Dead talk show with puppets would have been the best idea ever. But sadly, I don't have the gumption to do most of the ideas I have.
That's the problem is, there are so many great ideas out there. Whether or not people actually follow through or have the means to follow through, that is the problem.
Like we don't have any real viewers on the show, couple. But man, if we did this show with puppets, we'd have at least 100.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, a weekly podcast with puppets would be pretty epic.
We just scrounged up 100 viewers of a puppet show. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this this half a season of Where's Carl.
God, this season went by fast, didn't it?
That was quick 8 weeks, huh? Zoom.
It really was.
All right. Well, we'll be back in January with Why We Love and take a look for it, look for the poll and all that. And until then, love many, trust few, and do harm to no. Peace.